guys, we're here with my boy Drew, who finished second place at OTS Championships with Centurion, but you have a lot of spice in the deck to show everyone, so I guess, what are your thoughts on the deck for the format?
I love it. I think it's very underrated. I feel like a lot of people don't respect this deck, but I really like it, so I think it's really powerful.
Awesome, well, let's get to the list.
All right, so we're going to start with the hand traps. It's a hand trap format. We're playing a lot of hand traps, and there's a lot of space in this deck to play them. 3 Ash, Veiler, Mourner, Nib, and Imperm. I think you want to be playing 15 hand traps if possible. That's probably the most optimal number between going first and going second, for the main deck at least. And I mean, this is a pretty standard lineup. I did not play Droll. I don't think Droll is very good. Droll wasn't my side, but I don't think Droll is incredible, especially into Pure Snake Eyes. So I played the triple effect negation, which I think is very good. They all pair well with Nib. Ash is the next best card, I guess, out of all of these. But yeah, not much more to say on that. I think a lot of people know about these cards. Onto the actual engine and deck now. For the Centurion engine, I'm playing 3 Primera, 2 Trudea, and 1 Emeth. This is our monster lineup. I played 2 Trudea because I play another level 8 engine, and this is the worst starter of the deck. The monsters can get cloggy if you play too many, and that's why I opted in for a smaller monster count. Of course, with the 3 of the tuner, 2 supporting level 8 engine essentially, and then this is a requirement. Beyond that, I played, of course, 3 field spell. This is like the ride or die of the deck. One of the best cards. Starting with the field spell is significantly better than starting with a monster, unless you obviously start with Primera and you have the field spell already and you're kind of baiting, but the field spell is like very, very central and important to the deck. And for that reason, I also played Set Rotation. Set Rotation is really great because obviously I play a second field spell that you guys will see in a moment, but being able to set this out of the deck and also beat Imperm is pretty nice. And this can work almost like a board breaker sometimes into the Fire King deck, so it's kind of funny. It also beats Anti-Spell, which is nice.
Oh, that's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, right? Isn't that kind of neat? We also play 3 Emblema Oath. Emblema Oath is kind of like a set rotation in Archetype because it lets you set a Centurion card from the deck. You also have the other option to place one of them as a trap, but that's where I got the inspiration of playing set rotation, was because like whenever I was able to see this card and get to field spell, it was just like so strong. And this is kind of just another copy of this. And these both beat Anti-Spell. So I have 4 cards to beat Anti-Spell going second, which is pretty good. And this is also just the extender. Like, it's always the extender. So if you, no matter what you start with, this is always the piece that you're missing. So it's one of the best cards in the deck. And then lastly, I play just another requirement, which is Centurion Bonds. This is responsible for allowing you to play through sometimes set up a board that doesn't play into Super Poly, and also play through Bestials, play through an Imperm on the Synchro. Some people like to hold it for that, and you really punish them by just adding this, and follow-up. So it's definitely a requirement that you can't cut. I didn't play the Trap. I think the Trap is very good, but I couldn't find the space for it personally, and I didn't feel like it came up enough for me in my testing to make a really big difference. I really just wanted to get to combo, and then have a little bit more gas, which we'll go over now, I guess. My next engine, which is going to give it a little bit more gas, is the Horus engine. I played 3 Imseti and 1 Dumatef. Now, I was playing both names originally just because I love the OTK potential, and I think both of the names have a lot of utility, but ultimately I decided to go with this name instead of the Happy. A lot of the time, to beat Cosmic, your play is putting up Dumatef, with your standard combo. So if they try to Cosmic you, when you go to activate Field Spell, you're going to draw a lot of cards. And sometimes it's like a draw 2, draw 3, which you're hoping to draw into hand traps to stop their play, and then it comes back to you. So that's kind of one of the ways you can counteract Cosmic in this deck. A lot of the time when I get Cosmics and I have that up, it's like I still don't lose the game because there's so much non-engine. You have 15 hand traps, and drawing 3 or even 2 is quite good. I also play the Field Spell. So this is another target for set rotation, and it counts as a King Sark, and it helps you get to Imseti. This deck doesn't lose to really Droll at all, which is a big positive of it, and it doesn't. It's it's pretty decently resilient to hand traps because of the mix of the Horus engine with the Centurion engine. The Horus engine becomes extenders for the Centurion engine, which is very good, especially if you see something like Field Spell and Horus. It means you're going to get to the Primera, and if they stop you on the Primera, you're going to get to your 8s anyway, so it just doesn't matter. So the deck's very, very resilient to hand traps, and it doesn't play into Nib, and this whole engine helps with that. This card does occasionally make it play into Droll, though, unfortunately. But it's worth it for these for the set rotation and a little bit of spice later on. But of course, in addition to that, I play the 2 King Shark. But this kind of rounds it out almost like 3 King Shark. Me and big shout out to Gabe Vargas, who we built the deck together. We really want to play 3 King Shark because we think sometimes Imseti is just a little greedy. And this kind of, like, we had to find space somewhere. So this kind of, like, becomes the 3rd King Shark. And I was very content with that. So 2 King Shark in the field to act like a pseudo 3rd. And finally, the big spice, which is Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. This is, no pun intended, what bridges both the engines. When me and Gabe were playing this before the Phantom Nightmare format, we noticed that the deck was exponentially better when we saw the Horus engine. Both are going second, and are going first was much stronger. And we lacked a way to, like, our games were dependent on seeing the Horus engine a lot of the time, and we lacked a way to guaranteed get to it. So that's why we were playing such a big engine before. We were playing the 3 King Shark, but now we started playing, because of the release of this card, we played this card to serve as both a discard engine, but at the same time bridge both the engines. So your best combos to start, let's say, it's either you're going to start with Centurion and you're going to pitch this card and get to Horus for like follow-up or to extend, or you're going to start with Horus and you're going to get into your Centurion. The reason why I mentioned that this doesn't really lose to Droll, or like, we gave it more resilience to Droll because if you draw this together, it's absolutely insane. You pitch the Rainbow Bridge, and then you chain the Rainbow Bridge to add the Crystal Beast and the stand-up Centurion, so the field spell. And at that point, if they draw you, it literally doesn't matter. You have like 7 cards in hand, and you have your 8 engine, you probably have your tuner. There's like barely any way they're stopping you, I think, at that point. It's just absolutely crazy. The cool part about the field spell pitching this as well is if they do stop you on the Primera, the Cobalt Eagle is unironically an extender. You normal summon the Cobalt Eagle, and then you make Enigmaster Packbit, which is the level 8, which will place this back into your back row, and then make Legacia with it on their turn, which is 2 interruptions. Because you'll get the Legacia pop, and you'll get the Packbit force one of their cards into a spell trap zone, which is really, really neat. So this engine is just like absolutely insane. Going second as well, it provides a lot more gas to the deck. Because if you do go second, you often lead with your Centurion engine. Unfortunately, a big weakness of the deck is it doesn't play into interruption very well, and removal very well. But pitching something like this allows you to bait out some of their plays, and then go into the Horus engine, and you can go for Zeus plays after that. So it gives you a lot more gas to try and push through boards, which is, again, a big problem with the deck. So this card is like absolutely the MVP. Oh, and the last funny part about this card is the on-field effect works in this deck. So the on-field effect shuffles all cards from, I think, the hand, field, graveyard of both players back to the deck, and then you draw 5 cards. And the requirement is to have 2 monsters with different types that are level 10 and up. So that could be like a Baron to your Legacia. That could be your Calamities in Legacia. Like there's so many different combos. Sometimes I use this on someone that played M-Pen because it's a level 10. It's really, really, really funny. Nibiru is a level 10. So like that comes up as well. It's really, really funny, but it is very, very relevant. Also, it does beat like things like Droplet, or like just negation like that on the Crimson Dragon, because you still have your 2 level 12s on the board, and then you can flip this on them. And then the thing is when you flip this on people, you have it in the graveyard. So on the follow-up, your follow-up is always guaranteed banish, add the field spell, and then you try and kill them. So that is also like super, super relevant and really just fun and cool about the card. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to the extra deck now. So the extra deck, I played the SP, that card's mandatory. 2 of the Synchro, that's the correct ratio in my opinion. Crimson Dragon and the target, so Cosmic Blazar and the Calamity, pretty standard. I play Final Sigma. This is how you beat Super Poly. There's a lot of hands where if you draw 2 engine pieces or an engine piece plus Horus, you simply end on this. If you really want to be cautious around Super Poly, or if you saw Super Poly in a previous game, obviously you can end on this. This is also really good into Flu, which is just nice. Enigmaster Packbit is the level A of the deck, and one of your forms of non-destruction removal. Like I said, this is the card that you go into. If you do the Rainbow Bridge pitch with the field spell, you get stopped on the Primera, you don't have anything else, you normal summon the Cobalt Eagle, you make this, and then this discards to place back the Primera. Then on the following turn, you can summon this using this, which this will get the pop. This will force a card back to the spell trap zone. So it's two forms of interruption. Also, this is very, very good. If you're able to, if you have the luxury, you're not always, but if you can place itself in the spell trap zone, you can start summoning things from the back row without using the Centurion effect to summon. Doesn't come up a whole lot, but it's cool in concept. 1 Baron, in case you're wondering how I make this, you have to wait to see the side deck. The generic negate for the Horus engine. Zombie Vampire is much better in this deck. In the rare times where you only see Horus and not Centurion, you can make this to try and hit a Centurion monster or hit Rainbow Bridge. So you have higher odds of at least trying to play out of a potential brick. Dingirsu for this is great in putting pressure going into Zeus and non-targeting, non-destruction removal. Pain Gainer, this is just your kind of your downer for this card. So you overlay this on top of this to get the format Zeus, I believe. And then Zeus, of course, and then Typhon. So that's the extra deck. When you go, like I said, when you go for the Horus plays, you do end up like finishing. You want to finish off on a format Zeus, one to clear the board, and maybe like one for your opponent's follow-up. Depending on the game side, it might be good enough, but it's more guess than the deck has without it. So I definitely think it's something I really like playing. And then finally, we'll do the side deck. I played 3 Droll. I don't love this card right now. I don't think it's phenomenal, but for locals, I think it respects a lot of Rogue, like Flu. It's decent into Voiceless. It's a fine card to put in against the Fire King variants of Snake Eyes. So I ended up playing this. This was going to be more Bestials, but I wanted, again, to respect more Rogue, so it was fine. 3 Bell, I feel like this is the standard next hand trap I put in to bump it up to 18 if I am going post-side into Snake Eye decks. I like it typically more than Droll, but if your back's really against the wall game 3, you technically have space for both. Then I play the 3 Bestials. This is to respect Branded as well as Voiceless Voice, and it makes Baron. This was Crows in my list for Vegas because I think it did a better job of respecting a little bit more wider of a potential format. So not to say that we're in a wide format right now, but more decks. The difference between this and Crow is that Crow respects Pearly as well as Lab a little bit better because you can Crow their rollback target. But for locals, I knew there was like a ton of Branded and a good amount of Voiceless, and I'm like, being able to make Baron, especially with a field spell, if you like go like Druisworm, summon, field spell, synchro, and then you get the Druisworm send into a Baron, it's like really strong, and I wanted a little bit more explosive power in that. And then finally, the Floodgates. Yay, Floodgates.
Oh, Skildred.
Skildred, yeah. So summon limit, pretty powerful card this format. Luckily, our deck, I think, is the deck that plays best under it. I won a game against Cash because they didn't expect me to side skill drain summon limit into them, and I did. And my deck plays very, very well under summon limit. If you can slow down the game with one of these cards, the deck just like goes crazy because you're playing on both players' turns. And then skill drain, it's a very, very powerful card. And you make really big monsters. The Synchro 12 is 3,500. You have the Horus engine that also just plays skill drain and they're stunless. So if you dumb down the game to that point where like you've locked them out of like their effects, you just become a stun deck and you just go big beaters, swing over things, and the Horus engine still is able to eliminate threats because it has the King Sark send, which is really strong. So yeah, these are just really, really absurdly strong in this deck.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for the profile. Congrats again. Any last shout-outs?
Yeah, big shout-out to Gabe Vargas for building the deck with me. We always find a way to cook and make some really fun stuff out of cards I just like, but we also see value in. So again, big shout out to Gabe Vargas for coming back to the game, playing Vegas with me, and spending a lot of time working on this deck. I absolutely love it. And shout out to all my friends, our testing group. You know who you are, and shout out to my girlfriend for always supporting me.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.